Yo, hello there guys, Loco JB here. So today we're gonna be reacting to how Chovy actually does carry in League as Aurelion Sol. Definitely subscribe to Loldo and leave a like if you liked this video. I'm just reacting to it. So in here he does actually TP in the backline, he does collapse on them. And watch out what he does super well. So he does use his E into an insta R, right? And that's a very wide amount of AoE in the late game, level 18, very wide AoE. And what he does actually is very surprising. So he does instantly Zanye, so they don't have any counter attack opportunity. And we can see how hard they got melted actually. Does even utilize that flash super well. He does fly for that extra damage, resets his W, goes in again. He doesn't even have to. And so even though Aurelion Sol did get nerfed now and then, I would say scaling wise he's still there. He's a little bit weaker after so many nerfs, so you gotta be a bit more cautious early on. And as a beginner I would say don't instantly go to ranked with him, because you just need to know how to survive, you know. It's been picked in MSIS, so it's one of those like very strong picks even in pro play. Aurelion Sol tends to be picked with like diving comps usually. We can see how much damage does Aurelion Sol do even after nerfs, because once you do actually scale up, once you have some star seeds, you can still snowball with Rala, you can still carry a game, but you're a bit you rely way more on just scaling these days. But he does actually love usually Rally into Liandry, and so what does that allows him to like have a very good like stickiness with Rally, and Liandry does actually give a really nice tick damage usually. Ooh, 7. Oh, that's a lot of. That's high win rate on a champion that's supposed to be nerfed in one of the highest possible ranks. But note, I believe Aurelion Sol is a little better in higher ranks, because I do believe he needs some cooperation from his teammates. If you don't get enough cooperation, then it can suck, because if your teammates cannot bait out some CC abilities, you can't really dive in, and then it may not be that useful, you know, depends. But this is what you need to do, by the way. So most of the low elo Aurelion Sol players don't flicker their Q enough with Scorch and Comet. They're gonna go for a fully extended Q, but the issue with that is that often you're gonna get outshort traded that way, or you will not get off completely your Q. So especially into like longer range mages, you kinda wanna just flicker it a little bit into Yoniaso. You don't wanna like go for a full extended Q, usually. But in here he did get actually quite a good angle. Now, the reason why he went for a more extended Q is because he had bomb plating against Tristana, and Tristana was outside of the wave's position. Now obviously if Tristana positions it between the wave, then you don't want to go for extended Qs, but this just only applies because Tristana wasn't in the you know, it wasn't really in reach. But look what does he do. He big balls it, so he does know that Tristana will not get so quickly level 2. And he does actually step up because he does have Comet, so he wants to position exactly in a way that he gets some Qs off on the Tristana, because he knows his Q can outrange Tristana's basic attacks. Only have 525 attack range, or 514, level 1, something like that. And he does flicker a Q on him, he does get the Comet, he does get the Scorch off. But now he's a bit more concerned because Tristana is very soon level 2, and Aurelion Sol's level 2 is not that strong if people stay between minions. But he does keep flickering his Q. Very soon the Tristana is 2, so is a little bit more on the defense right now. But he loves to flicker it because it looks like Aurelion Sol's Q stops at the first champion. But the truth is, it actually pierces through the first target, but it only does like 50% damage. So you can actually like, you see, even though you don't hit directly the enemy champion, you still do some damage, but it's reduced. And look what does he do. So Tristana jumps in with W. Obviously she does miss it, and a little bit he does actually trade back because he knows his Q damage and that he will stack some star seed, right? So it's not inconfident in its champions like damage, because the thing about Tristana is that she needs to connect W, otherwise she doesn't get that extra stack, otherwise she doesn't actually get that extra you know, damage, which is really needed. So Chovy is actually quite confident that this is actually not a bad fight for him. I think Tristana also doesn't run Halo Blades, she goes for Fleet, I think, if I'm correct, no? Does she have Fleet or Lethal Tempo? Not really pay it. I think she has Fleet, no? She does have Fleet, so that's why her all-in is significantly weaker. And because Tristana is low of so many short trades with his Q, or more extended ones, look at his confidence. Even though he knows like Aurelion Sol is at most a scaling oriented champ, so you don't get to, of course, do this in every single matchup. But if the enemy champion is low on HP, they have cooldowns perhaps, and he knows that Tristana still has cooldown on her W. It has a 24-second cooldown. He's allowed to actually all-in. And eventually Tristana does flash away. But he does actually abuse the fact that Tristana doesn't have his very long cooldown dash. That's what you should do as Aurelion Sol ideally. So if someone doesn't have CC like a Syndra based EQ, so either you can punish the fact that people don't have dashes up, or if people don't have, you know, CC up, right? So those are the two general things you should watch out for. Look, he just flickers it a little bit. He doesn't go extended because of the minion wave and Azir spoke, but he just flickers it a teensy bit, you know? See, he just flickers it a bit. But look what he does. So every time he has this very aggressive posture positioning, so he knows that Aurelion Sol's Q is obnoxious, and Azir's early game ban overly nerfed to the point where there is just no way in the hell he can actually match Aurelion Sol. But also notably, these minions, level 1, these minions actually don't aggro too well. It's almost like they have a Nox Churn on them, and they don't aggro quickly enough actually. So that's why he does actually like to pressure champions that are supposed to be weak in the earlier levels. So every time he has this more aggressive like playstyle into champs that are not like too strong, like something like Yasuo or Yon or something, you know, like obviously will not win every single all-in, but but at most he aims to like pressure mages, because like once he walks out of his Sand Soldiers like reach, he does actually like very easily out DPS the Azir, because Azir doesn't have any abilities anymore to deal damage, right? So he walks out of the Sand Soldier's range, steps up for that basic Q, or he just Qs, and he got 2 sweet Stardusts already. No, actually 4 in total, my bad, in these days it gives 4. That's very important to know. So if you just flicker it, it doesn't necessarily trigger it. You see, like every time Azir wastes his W, he can actually pressure, right? He can actually pressure. Now my question is, what if Azir would walk into his minions? Wouldn't Aurelion Sol just lose that? I'm not 100% sure, but wouldn't Aurelion Sol just lose that? Because he doesn't deal 100% damage if he bounces it off minions, no? Look! On top of this, the minions won't aggro if the enemy backs away. Yep. Usually the first wave range minions, they are a bit blindsided, you know? When Sol stands still to Q a cast. Yep, so they will try to poke back, but he has to like Q and insta move. Oh, so he actually does have a very good posture, as you guys can see. Tap Q, dodge Orianna Q, right? So he taps Q, but he puts emphasis. So every time he pokes it Q, he also puts emphasis on sidestepping, on dodging things, you know, or emphasis on them having cooldown, right? If he wants to go for a extended fight. Yeah, that's true. That's why you got to flicker it a bit now and then. And every time it's really good. Like if you get to push level 1 as he did, you can go for a level 2 all-in, get those Starlasts, you know, get those very strong all-ins, you know. And that's actually great, you know, because you actually do scale up your abilities very quickly if you know your all-in angles. The same logic applies to like champs such as Chovy. Because like any type of champs that don't have DPS, they will lose a DPS fight against a champ that does have good DPS, like Aurelion Sol, right? So it just really comes down to that. So it does actually, whoa, that was a slick dodge, almost like he scripted that, right? So it does actually bait the CC out, so that's what you often wanna do. You can Q, flicker, sidestep to bait some CC out, and then you can look for a all-in, right? So it depends if people have CC up, right? That's what limits him from going in, right? So if Chovy doesn't have his third ability, which either can be that pull, a fear, or the root, Aurelion Sol is very confident to go in because he doesn't have anything to cancel his Q, right? And you can see how cleanly, how smoothly he does actually all in. He likes to take E with no W angles against some champs like Yon and Akali and whatnot. Because the good thing is that then you get more CS, then you get to shove more smoothly. And then level 3, now level 3 you're gonna have a W to all in if it's even possible, if you don't have any openings at level 2. Or you can roam with your W, right? So that's also a good way to utilize it. Okay. No, that's a way to flicker it. Yo, what the hell are these ads? I think we've seen this before, no? This is how he grabs early kills or a flash, yep. He uses E, Q up front, Okay. But that's the thing about some assassins that have some upfront burst, like Echo gets his Q electrocute passive off. They don't realize if you don't have enough DPS into a bomb, he does run actually bomb plating into champs like Echo, assassins in general. Tristana as well, right? He may just touch check them, right? And that's what like mages are generally not used to, or assassins in mid lane. They are not used to the champs that have usually extended like DPS, right? So it means that punishing kits and extended DPS, right? So it generally means if you cannot kill him in one run, he can just melt you. So one of those champs like Cassiopeia in a way, right? One of those mages. Like usually it's unexpected from mages to play this aggressively early on, but Aurelion Sol can do that. And that's the bait thing about Aurelion Sol Z. So Aurelion Sol Z doesn't do much damage, right? It's good at resetting your comet, but it does not do much damage. It's mainly used for CSing early on, right? And it can be a bait, right? It can be a mental bait because his bomb plating is coming up very, very soon. And it's like, yeah, sure, Aurelion Sol doesn't have his E, but his W amplifies his Q damage, right? And it can also extend like how far you can reach with that ability, right? So it's kind of like he flies in and then he has more space to like Q. And does pick up the Tristana, so it's such a bait. I know it's such a dummy bait, but people just don't realize how much DPS this champion can have. Because Tristana runs fleet into Aurelion Sol pokes, right? Does fly in. Oh, he doesn't. Bomb plating for winning trades. Oh, he does actually melt the Tristana, okay. Yep, Sol is always strong with a shoved wave, yep. So he can also shove very easily after level 7, right? Ooh! And so that's what people don't do enough in low elo, right? So you fly in, you bluff you wanna go in. You saw that, guys? He does fly in, right? And what does he do? He instantly sidesteps at the ability cast of a wave. Did you guys see that? He baits out his wave clear, he baits out his easy. And then he R's in, right? I don't know about this one, champ, because it looks a bit wasted, no? I mean, that R was a bit weird, honestly. I think that was wasted. I don't know. I don't know what was that, honestly, but successfully RQ stacks especially well since the enemies. Yep. Oh, he does fly out. Okay, that was well played. That was 17 stacks. Okay, that was definitely well played on his part. It's hard to find the recall window. So if it's hard to find the recall window, he likes to actually eat a wave and or it. And the E will slowly execute it, he's gonna get some stacks, you know. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting way of playing, definitely, right? I look at his wave clear, so after level 9 his cooldown pretty much doesn't have a cooldown on Q. Wow, he also melts Lazir. I don't know why, but even in Challenger, people... I don't know how does this happen so consistently in 1000 plus LP Challenger, right? That's where he plays all the time, if not 2000 at this point. People just walk into his Q, man. People underestimate this champion's early game. He does scale well, little bit nerfed here and there on his scaling side as well, but he does hurt, you know, like that's the problem with the champion. He does hurt early on as well. That's why he got so many nerfs on his head. Look, he melts her. She melts her. She gets melted, and the issue is Aurelion Sol has 700 HP from his Liandry and his Raleigh, and he has the slow from Raleigh. So it's not even like most of the champs don't even get the counter attack opportunity like Saya, right?
This could be a fight opportunity for Fnatic. Yeah, they're all just taking the Hex Gates over. All four of them. Oscar on the bottom side of this fight.
Oh, that looks like a juicy R angle. Does he R? Does he not have R? Simply disrupting the enemy lines with E and R makes, yep. Oh, that R is disgustingly big. So, holy fuck, do you guys see the AoE of that E? That's very wide actually. Oh, that's very white. He must have a lot of star seeds for that. Or stardust, actually. Wait, the guy even died. What? Aurelion Sol scaling is also very, very concerning for the enemy team. I think that's why they flip so much into Aurelion, no? Oh, I'm not sure if my PC lags this much or the... Oh, that was a very good flash as well, right? The slow-mo was a bit weird, but... So you guys see, like, Aurelion Sol, even after the nerfs, he still can be highly viable. I would say with some team cooperation in higher ranks it may be a bit better, but at the same time you got to think about it that even so in lower ranks, you still get to roam, get really good kills off. People will fall for your Q cheese, W all in level 2, right? People will fall for your... people will think that you cannot beat them in a 1v1, you know, so I would say definitely there are games where he needs cooperation from his teammates, and that's where he may be a bit better in higher ranks, but I do believe this champion can be very easily, if you are good enough, viable at even in low elo. It's just like, well, you gotta learn how to survive. Just just to survive the early game. That's like one of your first steps. The other ones, of course, learning how to use your abilities, also very, very important. So early on you will suck because this champion ban nerfed, so it's not the most beginner friendly champion. But I think if you give it some, like, let's say like 20, like 50 games, you know, I think you should be fine. You should have like a lot of fun with this champion. That's it for now, guys. Have a nice day.